Hello， 大家好，我是欧欧。Welcome to Friday All Day On. I rewatched one of my all-time favorite, Crazy Stone, the other day, and it just brought back so many good memories, especially the scene where Xiaojun was singing. He changed the lyrics of a popular ballad from "The first snowfall in 2002 came later than usual" to "The first shitfall in 2002 came later than usual."
2002年的地方是比以往来的更晚一些。
This was just so vulgar yet funny that I remembered for a while after the movie's release, everyone was singing Xiaojun's adaptation of this once heart-wrenching love song. Probably carried away by the song too much, I don't think I noticed this detail from my previous views of this movie. Here, Xiaojun was actually stepping on the toilet seat and pooped in a squatting position. It made me understand so much better why Sanbao snapped later in the movie and beat him up. Every Chinese born before 2010 has definitely had the experience of walking into a stall and seeing a filthy toilet seat growing up. And one would be lying if one said he felt okay seeing that. I mean, this scene is just so shocking that traumatizes so many tourists from outside of China, leaving China with a bad reputation of dirty and smelly toilets. So does Chinese really don't know how to use sitting toilets? Are bathrooms in China still that out of date? If you're excited about the content coming up, give me a good thumbs up below, and here we go. Historically, Chinese has been pooping in a squatting position. For one, it is a very instinctive position. It really helps bowel movement. Second, you might heard of Asian squat. Being able to squat steadily for a period of time also enables the process. And I guess that was also why there wasn't really an urgency to switch to sitting toilet. China is a big agricultural country, and most of its people has been farmers. It was really easy to build an elevated shed, dig a pit underneath, make a hole in the floor, and you have a bathroom. For farmers, the feces collected in the pit was natural fertilizer and can be easily accessed from their farmlands using a scoop with an extra long handle. The World Wars have been a big turning point for China's toilet revolution. China has been the victim of Japan and US's bacteriological and biowarfare, and some of the immediate actions taken among the public were to kill pests, drink water only after boiling it, building and improving sewer systems that were destroyed in the war, and building more toilets. The toilets built during that time were still dry squat toilets, using red bricks as the main building material. In the beginning of that movie, the old toilet which factory workers were trying to tear down was of that style. So you can imagine how old it was. The structure in the scene was a little bit unusual. Typically, the woman's toilet would have another wall blocking the entrance for extra privacy, but here, that extra wall was built on the men's side using stones. That was why the female employee complained to the factory owner that he was unfair using all the leftover raw jade stones to build the men's toilet.
小李子，那是不是我们原来生的玉的啊？
是噻，你偏心儿噻！你们男才说全部用玉石来煮。
Plus, with the war just ended, it was not realistic to build a great number of modern flush toilets with the labor and other resources at hand. China's water resources are very unevenly distributed, with the south having abundant fresh water, the north dry, and England towards west being extremely drought. Also, using the properly treated compost in farming, China was able to mitigate food shortage after the wars. Of course, wealthy people have flush toilets at home, but their lifestyle didn't really apply to the majority of Chinese people at that time. Chinese, after the long world wars and the civil wars, eventually decided to choose a collective lifestyle. So everything back then was designed for the collective lifestyle. In densely populated areas, you didn't have a kitchen in your living unit. Instead, a floor of residents or a group would share a kitchen space, where each family installed their own stoves and sinks. Similarly, toilets were shared and were built usually near the entrances to the residential areas. Inside the bathrooms, you wouldn't see individual stalls with doors. More likely, there would be just squat toilets with boards separating one another. Hats off to people back then having no problem letting others see them poop. I'm the type of person that would have a panic attack wondering if people outside the bathroom heard my fart. Things started to improve largely after the reform and open up policy has taken effect in the mid to late 80s. In order to attract more people outside China to do business here, we did a lot of improvements on infrastructure. More flush toilets were built during that time. However, to preserve water, this type of public bathroom design started to take the trend. The point of this type of bathroom was that you can flush after you use, but you don't have to flush every time you use. Get it? I don't know which genius came up with this idea, but me personally think it was even worse than using dry toilet. This design was still largely in use in the early 2000s across China. The problem for this type of bathroom was that it would never stay clean, especially for those in southern China. As I mentioned before, southern China has a lot of freshwater resources, and so it is more humid and has more rainfall. Also back then, there weren't good modern HVAC systems installed in bathrooms. Water would drip or splatter after flushing, leaving the floor wet. If you stepped on the wet floor, then you would bring dirty footprints everywhere in the bathroom. Not to mention during the monsoon season in southern China, everything became damp 24/7. Your hair, your clothes, your book, your walk, your wall, everything. So the public bathrooms were forever dirty and moldy. For people who visited China during that period of time, going to the bathroom must be a nightmare. But it was also during that time brands and companies started to build their first factories in China in order to open up the Asian market. American Standard was the first international manufacturer of plumbing fixtures that opens its factory in China. Although I couldn't find sales reports of American Standard back then, I'm sure its presence in China made a big change in how Chinese thought of bathroom designs. Alright, that's a rough and subjective look back on the history of toilets in China before year 2000. In part 2, I'm going to talk about the biggest milestone in toilet modernization after the millennium, plus a guide to finding good bathrooms in China. If you're interested, click like, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know your experience with toilets and public bathrooms in China. I'm OO, see you in my next video.